Doc, if you cut your testicles, does sperm come out or blood? Spiders in the ears, cuts where the sun don't shine, and sneezing having effects on your nipples? What? Today we're back at it for round 6 of breaking down and answering all of your need to know Discord medical questions. All right, let's dive right in. Why do my nipples get hard when I sneeze? When you sneeze, it's a total involuntary action, and it's possibly due to the fact that you're having increased blood flow at that moment because of the reaction of sneezing related to either blood pressure, but it's nothing bad. It's nothing to worry about. I tried getting a pregnancy test as a male to joke around with my friends, and it was positive. How? First off, all tests are not created equal, and they're also not perfect. So sometimes you get false positives, sometimes you can get false negatives. It is testing and checking for HCG, which is the human chorionic gonadotropin. It's a hormone that we can check in our body relating to pregnancy. But if a male tests positive for HCG, we get concerned that it could be related to testicular cancer. You need to do self-exams. You need to feel for lumps. You want to make sure that everything feels normal and you're doing these at least once a month. If you're having anything abnormal going on with your genitals, get it checked out. Let the doctors take a look. Get some tests done so that way you can figure it out right away. I enjoy snacking on fresh black pepper. You know those black crunchy balls in the shaker. Is there any long-term health effects to eating these?
They want the pepper. I grind the pepper.
It has some health benefits for you. It is a good source for certain nutrients such as manganese. It's a mineral that helps with bone health, metabolism. It also helps with wound healing, but you also want to make sure you're just not overdosing or taking too much of anything, right? It can cause GI upset. It can cause your stomach to feel uncomfortable. It can cause nausea. I wouldn't use it as your only source of food. I swallowed a little bit of plastic shavings from a broken PlayStation 2 case I was going to throw out for the fun of it, not thinking about long-term. Will I be okay? I'm having a mental breakdown because I don't want to get sick or get cancer. We probably accidentally swallow plastics all the time, from the plastics that contain our food or our waters, and there are all these other things that we don't realize. So if you swallow a large piece of plastic, sometimes that can scrape your posterior pharynx, your esophagus, your stomach, can cause a little bit of irritation, but most of the time it's going to heal. Unlikely that it's going to impale into your body. You'll probably just pass it out in your feces. You're probably going to be totally fine. Can spiders or ants be found inside someone's ear or mouth? Absolutely. Most of the time, if an ant or a spider is going in your ear, you're going to be aware of this. You're going to feel it moving around. You're also going to hear it. That is the worst part. Mouth and chewing on them and eating them. The statistic shows that we do eat them on accident while we sleep. But does it cause any real detrimental issues? Not unless it is something poisonous. Now, are they venomous? Unlikely. The ones that are crawling around while you're sleeping, probably not. You're probably just fine. What is post-nut regret and why does it happen? It's called post-coital dysphoria, and it has to do with feelings of anxiety, sadness, depression after you release, after coitus, after even masturbation. Many people experience this at least once in their life.
You have no regrets?
And it typically has to do with the neurotransmitters related to your brain. It doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you. All these signals that are going on in our body kind of are working with and against each other. And then what could happen is thereafter, you have these feelings. It could last from minutes to hours and typically will pass after that. If you're seeing this more and more frequently, definitely need to talk with a healthcare provider or somebody about what you're feeling and the feelings that you're experiencing. I run for 2.5 hours to 3 hours every day now, and I've been running since October of last year. However, lately I've been getting cuts on the shaft of my flaccid penis. Best way I can describe it is it looks like a cat has been scratching my flaccid schlong. That's chafing, and it can be extremely painful. Somebody who's running for a very long period of time, there's a lot of movement against it, and you're having this rubbing against your tissue, which your body's not made or designed that way, nor is the clothing that we have. So you need to stop what you're doing at the moment and allow it to heal. You probably need moisturizer and or ointments. You definitely need to get it looked at first to make sure it's no other underlying medical condition going on. But then the other component is, how do you prevent this from happening in the future? Avoid cotton clothes because it dries out the tissue. You may want to use baby powder. That is a classic technique that people use. Hello, doc. I have a question about my field of work. If an electrical shock can stop the heart, can a shock of the same intensity make it beat again? Theoretically, yes, but in real life, we don't do that. We use a lot more energy because we don't want to continue to try to shock somebody at an energy level that's not going to work. So we want to do one and done as best as we can in these situations. Why do women never have to take DNA tests to see if their baby is theirs? Why is it always the man?
And I keep reminding him that she is pregnant.
If it's a surrogacy and say the surrogate woman, the person that baby's actually growing in, is saying, hey, that's actually my baby.
Kate, I really tried to make you a baby, I swear.
That would be an instance where you'd probably want to check the DNA of all parties, but that is a rare case. The majority of cases, the baby is actually grown inside of that woman, thus doesn't need a DNA test. Whenever I try to fall asleep, I get this full body twitch, like my entire body just bolts up and scares my boyfriend. It only happens once, but it's every night. Do you know what that is? Hope to see this in your video. It is quite common. It's called a hypnic jerk, and it's basically a myoclonic jerk, a movement, a spasm, and it has to do with the interaction between your nerves and your brainstem, and it's what we call a misfire. It's not anything dangerous, but about 70% of the population have it happen at least once in their lifetime. But there is a population of individuals where this occurs every single night. Is candy itself the main cause of diabetes? And how much candy can give you diabetes? Diabetes, in a nutshell, has to do with insulin, and is our bodies resistant to it, or are we not making enough of it? There's way too much sugar in candy. We should be only eating maybe max 30 grams of sugar a day, which is like 7 teaspoons. Please be careful that you're not overdoing it on sugar, because over time, it's not just one event. If you continue to show yourself, you're taxing your system way too much that you become resistant to the insulin and the effects of the insulin on your body, which then could lead you to get type 2 diabetes. And then what can potentially happen is you burn out the cells of your pancreas that make this, and then you stop making insulin altogether, and then you need to use insulin injections to help, and you turn into what appears to be a type 1 diabetic at that stage of your life. Doc, if you cut your testicles, does sperm come out or blood? So obviously it all depends where you're cutting your testicle. You have your testicle, you have your epididymis, and they all do different phases of potentially making your sex hormone, testosterone, as well as making sperm, and it needs blood. You can have sperm kind of leak out a little bit, but you're not going to see this with your naked eye. You're not even going to know. With skin grafts, could a person who just had liposuction donate all the excess skin? Freeze it. There's something called live tissue donation.
Good.
All for you, baby.
But it works the same way as organ donation, in the sense of recipient has to be compatible for donation of another human being's tissues. That way it doesn't reject it and cause a lot of issues. Would you freeze it? No, because then freezing it will potentially injure it and cause issues. Holy cow, very interesting questions. And if you're ever worried about something, please make sure that you head to your healthcare provider, go to your doctor, because ultimately that's where you need to go to get all of your answers when it relates to your healthcare on an individual basis. So if you guys enjoyed this, definitely check out this playlist right here. And as always, make sure you subscribe, turn your bell notifications on, and hit that like button for me. Thank you so much for watching, and stay healthy, my friends.